Hey, what is going on, guys? RvzStealth here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at this new setup going around on Miss Fortune for 9.22, which is a 4 Dorans blade start. Yes, you heard that correctly, going for 4 Dorans blades at the start of the game, and this build is having a lot of success on the champion right now. I'm not too sure who came up with this originally, where it was originally from. I did see a post on the Summoner School Reddit about this. I also took a look, and there's been a lot of pros the past couple of days that have been playing this, so I'm not too sure exactly as to who the original person was that came up with this, but I will leave a link down in the description below to the Reddit post because that's where I did see it first. Alright, so why is this strong? Why would you want to go for 4 Dorans blades on Miss Fortune? So number one is that it gives you 320 bonus health, which makes you very difficult to kill in the early game. It makes you almost like a tank champion throughout the early to mid game there. You get so much bonus health from these Dorans blades, so it just makes Miss Fortune's early game even stronger than it already is. Any misstep or mistake you make in lane is a lot less punishable as well if you have this amount of HP. So for example, if you're going up against an aggressive support and they engage on you at level 6, say you're up against like a Leona or a Nautilus, they try to all in you at level 6. If you got 320 bonus HP, then it's going to be much more difficult for them to burst you out there. So it means that you're just going to not get punished as hard by making mistakes in lane and by making positional errors. You're also going to be getting 12% lifesteal, or at least 12% lifesteal from the setup, because what you're going to be doing is you're going to be running the 4 Dorans blades. You're also going to be going for the legend bloodline in your runes along with the overheal, so it just allows for you to sustain really well throughout the early to mid game. Even if you do end up taking an unfavorable trade in the laning phase, then you got your lifesteal. You're going to be able to heal that up very quickly and then rinse and repeat and continue trading and continue playing aggressive. Now the setup works perfect for the Kleptomancy rune, which is what you should be taking on Miss Fortune right now. It just allows you to play that much more aggressive in lane, so whenever you got your Q up, you can look to go for aggressive trades. You can look to be proccing that Kleptomancy a ton in the laning phase and just get a lot of bonus gold from Klepto, get your health potions, get your mana potions, and it just makes your laning phase very good. The fact that MF's Q is a point and click ability as well, which does a ton of damage, it just makes the setup very consistent because you're always going to be getting that damage off with your Q. It's not like it's a skill shot so that even if you build a lot of AD in the early game, the damage might not hit. The damage is guaranteed, so if you're going for this setup on MF, then it's going to reap benefits for you and you're going to be able to bully even harder than you were before on the champion. Now, obviously later on in the game, you will be selling your Dorans blades to purchase your core items. So one might ask, like, what's the point in going for these 4 Dorans blades if you're just gonna sell them later on? Well, the fact that you do have such a stronger early game does make up for the fact that you're gonna be losing out on a bit of gold later on. If you can just stomp the opponent in the early game, then it doesn't really matter if you're losing out on a bit of gold, because the amount of gold that you've probably denied from the enemy laner is definitely gonna be worth it by going for those 4 Dorans blades. You're going to be at your strongest point with Miss Fortune in the early to mid game. That's where she does shine the most, so by going for this setup, it just makes her early to mid game way more stronger. Since you are running the Klepto, if you're just playing aggressive and you're getting a lot of Klepto procs in the laning phase, you're getting a couple hundred gold from your Klepto, then that amount of gold you have from Klepto is going to make up for the amount of gold that you're going to be losing by selling your Dorans blades. Now, Miss Fortune's usually not a champion you see being played a lot by pro players, and she's usually never picked by pro players in solo queue or in the pro scene, but this setup has made it so that even pros are playing this right now in this patch, and even in the higher elos, Miss Fortune is having a lot of success. So on the bottom hand of the screen there, you can see like a bunch of different pros that are running this setup right now, and they are just stomping the early game with this setup. You'll notice that a lot of pro players that are running this are just ending games super quickly on their MF because it just makes it so that their early to mid games are extremely strong. So if we run down the full setup that you should be running on your Misfortune for this patch, it is going to be the Kleptomancy like we've talked about earlier, Magical Footwear, Biscuits of Delivery, and Cosmic Insight. And then for your secondary runes, it's crucial that you do run the Overheal along with the Bloodline. The Bloodline there is just going to add to your lifesteal, make it so that even if you do end up getting chunked in the laning phase or you do get poked out, you do have a lot of sustain there. And then with the Overheal, because of the amount of lifesteal you have, you are going to be benefiting a ton from getting that extra shielding from Overheal. Now let's take a look at how you should be running this build setup on Misfortune and as to when you should be selling your Dorans Blade. So obviously start off with the Dorans Blade there as your starting item. On your first base, grab as many Dorans Blades as possible. If you don't have enough for another Dorans Blade, then just grab a Longsword, because a Longsword is going to be building into your first item, which is the Essence Reaver. Once you do have enough for a BF Sword, pick that up after you've gotten your 4 Dorans Blades and then finish that off into an Essence Reaver. Now once you have enough for another BF Sword, which you're going to be building into an Infinity Edge, that's when you would be looking to sell one of your Dorans Blades. So sell one of your Dorans Blades when you have enough for a BF Sword, finish that BF Sword into Infinity Edge, and then once you have enough for a Zeal, then you can sell another BF Sword, grab a Zeal, and that's how you should be looking to run your build setup on this MF. Now, instead of going for a Zeal item as your third item, you can actually go for another BF Sword and build that into a Bloodthirster. So you can go Essence Reaver, Infinity Edge, and Bloodthirster as your core build on MF, and that's going to give you an insane amount of AD. Your ultimate is going to hurt for a ton, your Q is going to hurt for a ton, and it just makes it so that you don't really need to know how to kite in fights as much. Like, your autos are just going to deal a ton of damage, and you're not really going to be reliant on just consistently autoing and getting a ton of damage off and just kiting well in fights. So I would say the Essence Reaver, Infinity Edge, and Bloodthirster build is going to be one that I would go for if you're new to AD carry or if you are somebody that is just not very mechanically strong. And then for your ability maxing here is going to be your Q first, W second, and E last. And what you can do as well is you can just put a couple points into your Q before even putting a single point into your E. It does kind of depend on how the laning phase is going. If you do think that the extra slow there from your E is going to help you like chase down kills and it is going to help your support set up and engage, then you can take your E at level 3. But if it doesn't look like that and you're not going to be engaging really, then just taking an extra point into your Q there is going to allow that to deal more damage, and it's going to allow you to hit a little bit harder with your poke in the early game. This build setup isn't the only thing that's making Misfortune really good for this patch. The fact that both Kai'Sa and Xayah got nerfed in 9.22 here is really good for Misfortune. She's always been a pretty good pick into the Kai'Sa because she can really abuse Kai'Sa's weaker early game, and the fact that you're going to be going for this 4 Dorans Blades build, it just makes it so that Kai'Sa can't even lane against you. Like, you just completely annihilate Kai'Sa in the laning phase. She's got a positive win rate against all of the most picked AD carries for this patch. The lowest is going to be Ashe there at 51%, but upwards of like 57% against the Kai'Sa, 56% against the Xayah, so just really good right now against these meta AD carries. And then one more thing that's making MF such a strong pick in this patch is the fact that her best synergies down in the support role are being played a ton for 9.22. Leona right now is the 3rd most picked support. We've seen such a rise in Leona over the past few patches with the recent buffs she's received. We've also seen other supports get nerfed, so it just indirectly makes Leona stronger. The duo win rate those champions have is 58%, which is just completely off the charts. Blitzcrank also right now the 4th most picked support, really good synergy with MF. Sona's really good as well, not being played a ton, but if you can pair MF up with Sona, really good level 6 all in. Nautilus, Bard there, both being played a lot right now, so just really good picks that you can pair up with Misfortune that are being played in the support role. And then to round it out, guys, how you should be looking to play this laning phase is just always be paying attention to when enemy minions get low on HP and try to be bouncing that Q off of that low health minion onto the enemy champion. That's what you should be doing a lot of the time. You can also just bounce your Q off of a minion that's not even low HP and hit the enemy champion behind it. Always be looking for those as well, but especially when the enemy minions do get low on HP, always be paying attention to those Q bounces, because if you kill a minion that's low and you hit the enemy AD carry with it, it's going to chunk them extremely hard. Once you do grab your Dorans blades there, just make sure you're playing aggressive in lane. If you're not playing aggressive and you're just sitting under tower farming, or if you're just playing passive, then it completely defeats the purpose of going for this 4 Dorans blade start. You might as well not even go for the Dorans blades if you're just gonna play back in lane. So if something terrible happens in lane, if you end up dying a couple times, or if you're just in a matchup to where you don't think you're gonna be able to play aggressive at all, if your support is just so passive and not offering you anything, then I wouldn't go for the Dorans blades in those situations. I would probably just go for my core setup. So that's going to be all for the video, guys. Hopefully this does help you out here for your end of season climbs. Misfortune is probably the best AD carry that you can play right now if you're looking to get some elo for end of season, and this setup makes her even stronger for this patch. So definitely be looking to play this if you're an AD carry player and if you want some elo for the end of season 9. So with that being said, guys, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you have yet to already. So thanks for watching, have an awesome day, and I'll see you in my next video.